Good morning, students. Welcome back again. We were discussing chapter number 9, right? The name of the chapter is Forest and Wildlife Resources. We have previously discussed chapter number 8, right? That is natural resources. We also what are the natural resources, right? Soil formations, types of soils, and all that things we discussed in chapter number 8. Yesterday we started with chapter number 9, that is wildlife resources. I said that forest and wildlife even have an important role to play in this environment, right? Even they balance the environment. The food chain, I gave an example, right? We have discussed all these things in the previous session. Still, we'll revise a little bit what we discussed earlier, right? First topic that we saw is classification. The second topic that we saw is types of forest, right? Types of forest according to the administration, right? I told you that there is a difference between the 2 points, right? Types of forest according to the administration. So which are the 3 points that are being included? First is reserved forest, second is protected forest, and third is unclassified forest, right? These are the 3 particular types of forest based on administration. Then again we saw a new topic, that is classification of forest according to ownership, administration and management, right? Again it includes 3 points, that is state forest, second is communal forest, and the third one is private forest, right? We even discussed in detail what this is, right? All the 3 different points. Then we again went to the new topic, that is deforestation, right? I gave you an understanding of what deforestation is, and it's a global problem that's been happening in this world, right? We need to stop deforestation and we need to focus on afforestation, because if we do not focus on afforestation, the impact, the results on this particular global planet would be very dangerous for us, and in return it would be very harmful for the humans to survive on this planet, right? This is all we have discussed in the previous sessions. Okay, now what we are going to discuss today. So these are the points that we are going to discuss today. Point number 1, impact of deforestation, right? The first topic that we are going to understand is what would be the impact of deforestation if constantly the number of trees are being cut down from the forest, right? What impact it would have as a part of deforestation, right? Second concept that we are going to learn today is remedies for forest conservation. What are the remedies or what are the steps that we need to take or the government need to take to protect the forests, right? Point number 3, that is wildlife diversity. The next concept that we are going to learn, that is wildlife diversity. This is something new. Now we are slowly moving towards the main theme of this chapter, that is wildlife resources, right? So first we'll try to understand what is the wildlife and what are the different types of diversity. So here this is the third topic that we are going to learn. Fourth is wildlife on extinction. Now even the wildlife is in danger, right? There's an extinction, or it is the end of the wildlife. That is what it is, right? In the current era, we can see many things, right? Even the animals that are running on the roads, right? Lions and tigers that are moving on highways and roads. There are many news which are being published on TV, right? We see many times. Why does it happen? Because this is the concept, that is wildlife on extinction. What it is, we'll learn in detail, whatever is given in the textbook, right? And the last topic that we are going to learn today is reasons for destructions of wildlife. What are the reasons why the wildlife is on the end or is on the verge of the finishing line? Why it is? We are all going to learn these topics today, right? So I advise all the students to keep your textbook with you, right? So take out page number 67. Page number 67. That is impact of deforestation. That is impact of deforestation. Right? Now we are clear with the term what deforestation is, right? So what is the impact of deforestation? What happens if the number of trees are constantly being cut from the forest, right? The impact of deforestation is widespread. The quantity of carbon dioxide increases in the atmosphere, right? You all know that, you are science students and you know, you have already studied science, that trees gives oxygen and take in the carbon dioxide, right? If the number of trees are being cut down, then what will happen? The amount of carbon dioxide is obviously going to increase in the atmosphere. Greenhouse effects becomes more intense. With the removed forest cover, the soil is eroded and the problem of farm fertility decreases. The problem of farm fertility decreases. We saw in the previous concept, right? Soils. We need to plant the trees, right? Because trees hold the soil, the quality of the soil, right? I told you in the previous chapter. If the trees are being cut down, the quality of the soil is going to vanish away and the place is going to become dry. Then whatever you try to plant or plug, right, that will never grow. That will never grow if the trees are being constantly cut down, right? With the removed forest cover, the soil is eroded and the problem of farm fertility increases, right? Decreases. In the of peninsular India, the forest area has decreased largely due to deforestation. Many living organisms have lost their air bodies, right? Many living organisms have lost their air bodies, right? ઘણી બધી વસ્તુ ઘણું બધું નુકસાન, right? ફોરેસ્ટ ડિસ્ટ્રોય થાય છે, ડિફોરેસ્ટેશન થાય છે, એનાથી લોકોને અને વાઇલ્ડ લાઈફને પણ નુકસાન થાય છે, right? As a result, the wildlife approach urban. As a result, the wildlife approach urban settlements in search of food and water, right? અત્યારે તમે જુઓ wildlife, the wild animals, they enter the villages, they enter on the highways, right? Why it's happening? Because they do not have the forest area, they do not have their home. So what will happen? Where will they go? They'll enter in the villages or they'll enter in the highways, right, in searching of food and water, right? This is what the reality is, and we even see in the TV and newspapers and many more things, right, that the wildlife, lions and tigers and cheetahs and leopards, they are entering into the villages, killing small people, killing goats and buffaloes and all that kind of things. This is all is happening today because their home, that is the forest, is being constantly destroyed, right? More instances are recorded of carnivorous animals killing the domestic animals. So this is what I have said, it has been given in the textbook. More instances are recorded of carnivorous animals, right? And lions, tigers, leopards and all that things, right? Killing the domestic animals, that is cow, goat and buffalo. Of those shepherds who live near the forest. Shepherds એટલે ભરવાડ, right? એમના જે પણ particular ઢોર હોય, and cow, goat, buffaloes, right? And they are being killed by the carnivorous animals, right? They come, they hunt because they are living very close to the forest area, their village is close to the forest area, and they are being hunted by the lion, tigers and leopards, right? This is what it is becoming the reality. If we still not take care of the forest, right, at one point of time all the wildlife is going to enter into the urban area, right? This would be the impact of deforestation, right? And the most important thing is the soil fertility will decrease, and if the soil fertility is going to decrease, right, the agriculture concept is going to be vanished within few years. It's going to be vanished within few years, right? This would be a big problem for the humans to survive in this forest, right? So we need to save the forest. Okay, so this is the impact of deforestation. Moving ahead, remedies for forest conservation. Now what are the steps or remedies that should be taken for forest conservation? The research should be carried out to find the option of wood. A kind of a research should be done by the scientists, that what is the next option for wood, right? Because the demand of wood is constantly increasing in this world, where will the wood come from? From the trees. Where are the trees? In the forest, right? So obviously there is going to be cut down of trees at every global corner of this planet. Yes. Then what is the option for wood? We need to find that thing by a research, right? So that the trees would be saved. This will reduce the usage of wood and it will save the forest. Whenever the trees are to be cut inevitably for the development of work or for necessity, new trees of the same species should be grown, right? See, this is what is not happening in our country. The trees are being cut down for the development of something, maybe a hospital, maybe a highway, or maybe anything else, right? But the concept is, if you are cutting down the trees, which takes 10 to 20 years for its own development, within 10 to 20 minutes, why aren't you planting new trees? That's the biggest, disadvantage or disappointing thing done by our country or by our government. It's very easy to cut down a tree, but it's very difficult to plant a tree and to let him grow, right? This is the biggest problem that our country is facing today. And that is why we see the seasons are changing constantly. And the extreme, summer in the heat, that is the extreme heat in the summer, extreme monsoon, that is the rain in monsoon, and the extreme winter in this season currently, right? It keeps on changing very fast. Because we are not planting new trees, that means we are imbalancing the environment. And once the environment gets imbalanced, right, even the seasons also get imbalanced. It has its own effects on the seasons also. Right? This is what it is. Right? We need to plant more trees. If we do not get the option for wood, and if we, do not have the option for wood, right, we need to cut down the trees. We know that for sure. But the most important thing is we need to plant new trees if we are cutting the trees. That's the most important thing that's to be done. So that is a remedy for forest conservation. There should be a total ban for cutting trees which are not fully grown, right? Government should make a law in such a way, right, that those trees which are not fully grown should not be cut down, right? Next. Those industries which receives this raw materials from the forest should be compiled for afforestation for future needs. Government should make certain kinds of the laws. There are many big industries which requires lot of wood, right? So there should be made a law that those industries which requires lot of wood, they need to plant the trees. A law should be made of such kind, right? So those big industries which are using wood, right, at a very high level, right, they should promise the government, or a law should be made that those industries should plant that amount of trees as much as they are using the wood, right? Then only we can save this planet, then only we can save this environment, right? Under the name of ecotourism, the forest cover should not be damaged and should be strictly controlled. The forest should not be damaged completely. There should be certain portion where the limits should be there. You are not allowed to go inside this area for cutting of trees. A boundary should be created. Then only the certain portion of the forest can be saved. Or if you give the permission, right, those people are going to cut down the forest within few months and it will become a dry place. Then it is of no use. Right? So certain restrictions should be made even in the forest, that you are not allowed to enter into this territory because it has been controlled by the government, or government does not allow to cut this type of trees inside this particular area or territory, right? Next. Widespread public awareness programs should be organized among the local people, right? I told you that concept very previously, right? We need to plant at least one tree in our house. It is a social awareness program. The same point has been given over here, right? It's a remedy for forest conservation, right? I'm repeating the point again. Widespread public awareness program. What is the public awareness program? That it should be organized among local people. The local people, who are the local people? You and me living in the society, we are the local people. So a program should be made where trees should be planted. Last year Rotary Club planted many trees in many areas, right? I know a few of my friends are there in that club, right? Many trees were being planted by Rotary Club. So that's a social activity done by the local people, right? And if those trees are being taken care, that will balance some portion of the environment, right? So it's our duty to at least plant one tree at our own house, right? So that will balance the environment. And at least it will give us shade in our own house. That's the benefit that we are going to get in future. Right? Moving ahead. The importance of forest and their conservation strategies should be included in the syllabus of schools and colleges. See, all these things are being included in schools and colleges. Why all these things are being included in schools and colleges? Because you will understand the importance of nature. You will understand what environment is. You will understand because of the trees, the environment keeps itself balanced. This is the knowledge that you are getting from this book, right? So even the government is giving as a part of education in this book, right? So that it will share in the whole nation, right? હું તમને કેવું કહું છું કે ભાઈ તમે એક tree plant કરો. So this is an activity that has been spreaded by me to you. There are some other teachers in some other schools who might send messages to other students, and it goes on in the whole nation, right? So there are lakhs of students appearing every year in 10th standard, and if this concept is being studied, they are getting these messages every year and year. So even half of the people are socially active. Even they'll plant one tree, right? So that would be a big bonus for our country, right? So this is a very good example set by the government that it has been included in the syllabus, right, in schools and colleges. They should explain the necessity of forest conservation, right? Now you know what forest is, what nature is, what is the importance of trees, what is the environment. Now you know everything because you are studying, right? Next, social forestry and agroforestry should be developed intensively by taking planned steps for the necessity of fodder and firewood. જેટલી ડિમાન્ડ હોય, જેટલી રિક્વાયરમેન્ટ હોય, એટલું જ ફાયરવુડને યુઝ કરવાનું. The rest should be kept and preserved so that it is not wasted. Right? ઘણી બધી વસ્તુ એક્સ્ટ્રા વેસ્ટ થઈ જતી હોય છે જે આપણને ખબર નથી હોતી. Every day we waste something. Right? The same concept. I'll tell you one example. Right? ઘણીવાર મેરેજ ફંક્શનની અંદર, રાઈટ, જ્યારે લોકો રિસેપ્શનમાં જમવા જતા હોય ને, રાઈટ, તો ઘણો બધો ફૂડનો વેસ્ટ થતો હોય છે, રાઈટ. There are 400, અત્યારે તો સ્ટ્રેન્થ ઓછી થઈ ગઈ, બટ પ્રીવિયસ યર્સની વાત કરું, there are 300 to 400 or maybe 500 people, having food in one place in a reception, right? So you can imagine the amount of food that is wasted, right? See, this is a small thing to think, but the quality plus the quantity of the food that is being wasted is on a very large level, right? એ તો બધું વેસ્ટ જ થયું, and that is of no use, right? Even at our own houses, ઘણીવાર આપણે જમતા હોય તો ઘણીવાર ઘણી બધી વસ્તુ થાળીમાં એમને પડી, that's a waste. Now that is of no use. Food, right, is a thing that is to be taken care. જમવા બેઠા હોય ત્યારે કેવું ધ્યાન રાખીએ છીએ કે બગડવું ના જોઈએ. વુડ એ પણ એવો જ કોન્સેપ્ટ છે, રાઈટ. ફોરેસ્ટ છે એટલે એનો મતલબ એવો નહીં કે કાપી જ નાખો ઝાડને અને એનો યુઝ કરી નાખો, બગડી ગયું તો ફેંકી દો. Not like that, because the other tree which has been planted takes number of years to develop, right? That is the problem. So જેટલી રિક્વાયરમેન્ટ છે વુડની એ પ્રમાણે જ એનો યુઝ કરવાનો, બાકી જે છે એને રિઝર્વ રાખવાનું, કન્ઝર્વ કરવાનું, so that it could be used whenever it is needed, right? Next, in place of firewood, alternative options like solar energy, natural gas, etc. should be implemented, right? અત્યારે આપણા ઘરમાં બધાને ગેસની પાઇપલાઇન્સ છે, ગેસના બોટલ્સ છે, સોલાર પ્લાન્ટ્સ છે, સોલાર એનર્જીથી આપણે કોન્સેપ્ટ્સ યુઝ કરીએ છીએ, and many more things, right? So that are the options for wood, right? So we should use all these things which would save the environment. Next, forest resources should be used sparingly in order to make the progress of tree growth faster and healthier. Infested trees should be removed, right? ઘણીવાર ઝાડ સડી જતું હોય, લાકડું જે હોય એકદમ વીક હોય, એના જે લીવ્સ હોય એ સડી ગયા હોય, એની જે બ્રાન્ચીસ હોય એ વીક હોય, રાઈટ. હવે એવા ટ્રીઝ જે છે એને તરત રિમૂવ કરી દેવાના. ઇટ શુડ બી ટેકન કેર, રાઈટ, નહીતર એ બીજાને પણ અસર કરે, રાઈટ. આ બધી વસ્તુ ખાસ ફોરેસ્ટમાં જ્યારે ટ્રીઝ પ્લાન્ટ થતા હોય અથવા ડેવલપ થતા હોય, સો ધ ગવર્મેન્ટ નીડ્સ ટુ ટેક કેર ઓફ ઓલ ધીસ કોન્સેપ્ટ્સ, રાઈટ. Forest fire causes heavy damage to forest. A separate system on force at national level should be created for dousing the fire. Due to the increased means of transportation and easy travel, thousands of pilgrims reach the religious places in the forested area to attend the bandara fairs or the parikrama, that is the circular travel. At that time, the litter should be cleared properly, otherwise the forests are polluted, right? This concept is a very important concept, right? ઘણીવાર લોકો કહેવાય ને જાત્રા કરવા જતા હોય, right? And that passes through the forest. હવે હજારો લોકો એ ફોરેસ્ટમાંથી પાસ થાય, રાઈટ. ગંદકી કરે, કચરો કરે, એ જે પર્ટિક્યુલર કહેવાય ને સોઇલ હોય એને લેતા જાય આગળ, રાઈટ. They damage the environment indirectly, right? एक साथे imagine करो 300 to 500 people walking through the forest. Obviously there is going to be an imbalance in the forest, maybe in the particular soil, maybe they are going to damage, maybe they are going to throw the waste over there in this particular forest, right? And many more things, right? So these are the things that need to be taken care because of the traveling transportation, right? ઘણા બધા લોકો ટ્રાવેલ કરે છે પછી એ જ રૂટ ઉપરથી આજે 500 જણા ગયા, again on the next day there would be again 300 to 500 people, they would travel through the same route and it keeps on happening for months, right? So it is going to affect the environment. So special care should be taken for this kind of people who are going for a pilgrimage thing, right? And separate facilities should be given to all these people, right? Moving ahead. An area should be demarcated and reserved for animal pasture, right? एक specific area forest ની અંદર animal pasture માટે અલગ રાખવાનું. એમાં કોઈ જ ને allowed કરવા દેવામાં આવે નહીં. No humans or no cutting of the trees is allowed in that particular area. So these are the steps, right, for forest conservation. For forest conservation, right? I hope they are clear, right? There are 7 points, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 points are there, right? 7 to 9 points are there. You have to remember it, right? એવું નથી કહેતો કે ટેક્સ્ટ બુક માંથી બેઠે બેઠું ગોખી નાખવાનું છે. Try to understand the points in your own way and make the points by yourself. અને જરૂરી પણ નથી કે પહેલો પોઈન્ટ હોય એટલે પહેલો જ લખવાનો, બીજો હોય તો બીજો જ લખવાનો, not like that, right? You can remember it in your own way. You can make your one point which has the same meaning, right? And you can learn it. You can learn it, right? Next, moving ahead. Wildlife diversity. Now we are focusing to a new concept, that is the wildlife, because the name of the chapter is forest and wildlife resources. Now this concept is over. Forest, the concept is over. Now we are moving towards a new concept, that is the wildlife resources, right? So first let us understand what is wildlife diversity. There is a large diversity in climate and physiography in India. Due to this geographical diversity, a large variation is seen among the insects, birds, animals and vegetations. There are about 15 lakh species of animal, birds in this world. Underline this sentence, right? There are about 15 lakh species of animals and birds in this particular world. Alag species of animals and birds in this world, and the number is 15 lakhs. Out of this, 81,251 species are found in India. Underline again, out of 15 lakh, 81,251 species are being found in India. India stands 12th in the world in terms of biodiversity. Underline this statement, right? We stand on 12th rank in the terms of biodiversity. That means different species of different animals, right? We hold the rank that is on the 12th position. That is on the 12th position. Animals from Asia, Europe and Africa are seen in India. African Zarak, European wolf, these are the names of animals, right? Wild goats and Kashmir deer, elephants and gibbons from Southeast Asia, etc. are found here. Are found here means are found in our country. Are found in our country. If you want, you can underline all this, the names of the animals, right? The biodiversity of India includes, biodiversity means mixed animals and birds, that is the biodiversity. The biodiversity of India includes black deer, one-horned rhino, deer, different types of snakes, peacock, gorad, right? That is bustard, hawk, kingfisher, flamingo, etc. So snakes che, birds che, right? Deer che, rhino che. So this is known as biodiversity. This is known as biodiversity, right? If you want to know what kind of animals they are and how do they look, you have to find it by yourself on the internet, right? Flamingo is a bird. કદાચ તમે નામ સાંભળ્યું હશે પણ જોયું નહીં હોય. So if you want to know, you can go on Google and type images of flamingo, and you will see the images of flamingo, right? There are different animals છે, different birds છે, right? Snakes છે, right? If you want to go deep, you can find it by yourself on the internet, right? The snow leopard in Himalayas and the red panda found at the same altitude are distinguished animals here. Currently, India is the only country in the world where tiger and lion are moving in their natural bodies. Underline this statement. That is one of the biggest achievement of our country or of our nation. Right? I'm repeating the sentence again, try to understand. Currently, India is the only country in the world. આખા વર્લ્ડની અંદર ઇન્ડિયા એક જ એવું કન્ટ્રી છે where tiger and lion, the most two dangerous animals, right? Tiger and lion, right? Where tiger and lion are seen moving in their natural bodies, right? Natural bodies means their house, their home. What is the home of lion and tiger? Forest, right? બાકી બીજા જેટલા દેશ છે વર્લ્ડની અંદર ત્યાં ટાઈગર્સ અને લાયન્સને કેજમાં રાખવામાં આવે છે, right? They are not allowed to roam freely in this world. India is the only place where tiger, it has been specifically given in the textbook, right? Where tigers and lions are seen in their natural bodies. That means they are allowed to live in the forest, right? ઘણી વાર તમે જુઓ ન્યૂઝમાં ટાઈગર્સ અને લાયન્સ એટેક કરે છે ને, રાઈટ? તો એ લોકોને પકડી લે છે, મારતા નથી. They do not kill the tiger and lion, right? They put them in the cage and leave them in the jungle, right? પાછું જંગલમાં જઈને એમને છોડી આવે, right? So this is something very great that we are doing for the saving of wildlife resources, right? During winter, migratory birds from distant places throng into the watershed area of Keloldev National Park, Bharatpur, that is in Rajasthan, and Nal Sarovar in Gujarat to spend the winter, right? Nal Sarovar આપણે બહુ નજીક થાય છે. You can get the time, you can go and early morning, સવારે 5 5:30 વાગે જવું પડે એ જગ્યાએ. You will find lot of birds in winter, right? ઘણીવાર એવા પક્ષી આવે છે એ જગ્યાએ કે આપણે એમનો કલર કે એનું given a design we have never seen. That kind of birds are there in Nal Sarovar in Gujarat, right? So if you get the time, you can go and visit, right? It's one of the beautiful things. You will find a lot of birds which you have never seen in your life, right? So they migrate during the particular winter season, right? Sea turtles comes to lay eggs along the sandy coast of Odisha. Indian python, various snakes, and the king cobra are found in the southern rain forest in the south of the India. That is the southern rain forest. There is southમાં rain થાય ત્યારે sea turtle, python, and various snakes and king cobras are being found in the southern part of the India, right? અલગ animals છે, birds છે, right? Wild animals છે. All these things is known as the biodiversity, right? And out of that, lions and tigers can roam freely in the jungle, right, in our country. This is all about wildlife diversity. This is all about wildlife diversity. Different birds, different animals, snakes, mammals, right, wild animals, etc. All these things are a part of wildlife diversity, right? Next concept, that is wildlife on extinction. Extinction means on the end or on the verge of the end, right? On the corner, પૂરું થવાની અથવા end થવાની તૈયારીમાં છે. So wildlife, right? Why? We are going to look into the textbook. Today many wild animals in this world are on the verge of extinction. Tigers were found throughout India during the last century. Tigers were seen in the forest of Ida, Ambaji and Danta. Today, tigers are totally extinct from Gujarat forest area. Gujarat ni andar forest je છે ગિરનાર, right, one of the place. ત્યાં ટાઈગર્સ જોવા મળતા નથી, એક્સટિંક્શન છે. વેરી રેર ટાઈગર્સ આર બીંગ ફાઉન્ડ ઇન ઇન્ડિયા. પછી થોડાક વર્ષો પહેલા એક પ્રોજેક્ટ કર્યો હતો ટાઈગર્સ માટે, because at one point of time there were even less than 1400 tigers in the whole India. એક સમય એવો આવી ગયો તો maybe 5-7 years down the line, right? In India જ્યારે એ સર્વે કરવામાં આવ્યો તો 1400 કરતા પણ ઓછા ટાઈગર્સ આખા ઇન્ડિયામાં હતા, રાઈટ? હવે એમાં ઘણા બધા ટાઈગર્સ બીમાર હોય, ઘણા બધા ટાઈગર્સનું કહેવાય ને ડેથ થઈ ગયો, નેચરલ ડેથ. કેટલાક ટાઈગર્સ કોઈ બીજા એનિમલ્સનો એટેક થયો હોય એના ઉપર, અને બેબી લાયન એન્ડ લેપર્ડ એન્ડ મે બી અધર એનિમલ્સ, રાઈટ? તો તમે ઇમેજિન કરો, only less than 1400 tigers in India. So that is known as the verge of extinction. જો ધ્યાન રાખવામાં ન આવે, એક પોઈન્ટ ઓફ ટાઈમે ખાલી ટાઈગરની ઇમેજ બુકમાં જોવા મળે. યુ કેન નેવર ફાઇન્ડ એ રિયલ ટાઈગર ઇન ધી જંગલ, રાઈટ? ધીસ ઇઝ નોન એઝ ધી વર્જ ઓફ એક્સટિંક્શન. પછી ગવર્મેન્ટે પ્લાન કર્યું અને ટાઈગર્સ માટે સ્પેશિયલ બેનિફિટ્સ અને સિક્યોરિટી આપવામાં આવી, એન્ડ નાઉ દે આર મોર ઇન નંબર, મોર દેન 3000, રાઈટ? નોટ શ્યોર, બટ મોર દેન 3000 tigers are there in India, right? Today tigers are totally extinct from Gujarat forest areas. Cheetah is also becoming extinct from Indian forest. Many birds species which were easily seen in the Indian forest are now hardly seen. Right? આપણા જ સોસાયટીની, આપણા જ એરિયાની વાત કરું, we used to find lot of sparrows in our society, maybe 10 years or 15 years down the line, right? I knew because I have 5 trees in my house, big ones, and when I used to come from the school, right, there were a lot of sparrows which were sitting on the trees, and I used to watch them, right, when I used to come from the school, and even I used to feed them at certain point of time, right? Now I hardly find any sparrow on my tree. I'm talking about my own house, my own example, right? Why all these things are happening? It is known as the extinction of birds, right? Crows, sparrows, right, which are rarely seen. The number has been reduced, right? Why these things are happening? Because of the technology, right? Radiations. You have seen the movie Robot 2.0, where Akshay Kumar was trying to protect all this bird from the radiation, right? Because of the radiations, we have 4G, we have Wi-Fi, and because of that radiations, many birds are being killed. And this is the fact, right? 4G ની સ્પીડ જોઈએ, Wi-Fi માં ફૂલ સ્પીડ જોઈએ, એટલું જ વધારે રેડિયેશન આવશે. જેટલું વધારે રેડિયેશન આવશે, એ બર્ડને ઇફેક્ટ કરશે, they are going to die, right? They cannot survive for a long point of time. This is what is happening, right? And you even might accept these things, that it is very hard to find sparrows and crows and all that kind of birds which we used to see in the previous years, right? ઓછું થઈ ગયું છે આપણું extinction. We need to take care of it. Which were easily seen in the Indian forests are now hardly seen. Some of them, like vulture, duck with pink throat, cranes and owls, are on the verge of extinction. અલગ નામ આપેલા છે, but મેં જે કીધું એ પણ વસ્તુ fact છે, right? Chilotro bird, once widespread in Arunachal Pradesh, that is Arunachal of northeast, is now not seen so easily. There is a danger of survival to the alligators of the fresh waters of river and Ganga and river dolphin, right? Alligators, dolphins, આ બધી વસ્તુ extinct ઉપર છે. શેના ઉપર છે? Extinct, because they require fresh water from the rivers. એવું તો ક્યાંય પોસિબલ નથી કે ફ્રેશ વોટર હોય. એટલે આ animals, dolphins, alligators, they are on the verge, right? The number of sea turtle approaching the coast of Odisha and Gujarat is constantly decreasing, right? Turtles એ પણ આપણને ઓછા જોવા મળે, right, on the sea coast. Waterfowl once found frequently in Narmada, Tapi, Mahi and Sabarmati rivers of Gujarat is almost an extinct, right? Specific નામ જ આપેલા છે. Birds હોય, animals હોય, right? કહેવાય ને, પછી કોઈ જાતનું dolphin હોય કે કોઈ alligators હોય, every name has been specifically given over here, right? They are on the verge of extinction. They are on the verge of extinction, right? A time has come for us to think about this seriously, right? વિચારવા જેવું છે. If there are no wild creatures, birds or animals, right, the food chain will be destroyed and it is going to again impact the environment, right? Next, reasons for destruction of wildlife. Now we understood, right, that wildlife diversity, what wildlife is, what diversity is, biodiversity, right, different animals and birds. Then we understood wildlife on extinction. Now we knew which are the birds, animals, dolphins, alligators and different species are on the verge of their end, right, or are on the extinction, right? Now we are going to understand the reasons why, the reasons, that is destruction of wildlife. Why? Right? First point, due to the human interference in the grassland and in the watershed areas of the forest, the natural habitat of wild animals is being put in danger, right? Grassland area હોય, forest area હોય, greenery હોય, હવે એ જગ્યા જ્યારે માણસ એના પગ મૂકી દે ને અને એ જગ્યાએથી ચાલવાનું પસાર કરે ને, right, that environment is being disturbed for the wildlife, for the wildlife. હમણાં જ મેં તમને એક એક્ઝામ્પલ આપ્યું, રાઈટ? લોકો જાત્રા કરવા જાય તો ઘણીવાર ફોરેસ્ટમાંથી જતા હોય છે. હવે એ મહિનો મહિનો ચાલે, આજે 100 200 500 ગયા હોય, કાલે પરમ દિવસે, and it goes on, right? What happens is, right, when humans starts to walk on that place, the place changes automatically because of the human interference, and the animals get scared, the birds get scared and they move from that place. So what will happen? They will be not able to find their food and maybe they die because of the scarcity. હું કોઈ રિલિજનને પેલું નથી કરતો, આઈ એમ નોટ બ્લેમિંગ દેટ આપણે જાત્રા ન કરવી જોઈએ, ના જવું જોઈએ, બટ ગવર્મેન્ટ શુડ ટેક સર્ટન સ્ટેપ્સ, રાઈટ, ટુ પ્રોટેક્ટ ધીસ થિંગ્સ, કે ભાઈ હવે આ વસ્તુ છે, માણસો અહીંથી જાય છે અને જવાના જ છે, તો વી શુડ પ્લાન સમથિંગ દેટ ઇવન ધી વાઇલ્ડ લાઈફ ઇઝ નોટ બીંગ ડિસ્ટર્બ, right? This is what it is, because once the human's feet starts to enter into the forest, right, obviously it is a danger for the wildlife, because humans are more in number compared to the wild creatures, right? અને આપણી પાસે એવા શાર્પ વેપન્સ છે, હથિયાર છે, કદાચ કોઈ વાઇલ્ડ લાઈફ આપણા ઉપર એટેક કરે, વાઇલ્ડ એનિમલ્સ, right? So we are going to put a gun through a machine and we are going to finish them for our own security, right? They do not have any kind of such facilities. So what will happen? They will move from that place to the other place, and when they move from that place to the other place, right, there they will not be able to get the water, there they will not be able to get their food, there they will not be able to hunt the other animals, and they may die even of hunger, that is scarcity of food, right? So this is one of the reasons of wildlife extinction, that is due to human interference in the grassland. Once we starts to enter in that field, it becomes very difficult for the wildlife to survive on that particular forest or on that particular area. Second point, destruction of forest is the main reason responsible for natural imbalance, right? ઘણી વાર કીધું, જો એ જ પોઈન્ટ અહીંયા આવીને હું બોલું, destruction of forest, right, it imbalances the nature, it imbalances the environment, right? ક્યાં જવાનું, where we need to go. This is what the wildlife thinks, because that is their house. Forest છે એમનું ઘર છે, that is the place where they live. Imagine કરો, આપણું ઘરનો એરિયા હોય ને આપણું ઘર કોક લઈ લે, વાઇલ્ડ લાઈફ આવીને રહેવા માંડે, lion, leopards and cheetah starts to stay in our house. Will we allow them to stay in our house? Obviously, right? Because that place belongs to us. So forest is their home, that place belongs to them, but we don't think in that way, right? Destruction of forest is the main reason responsible for natural imbalance. Its final impact is reduction in the number of wild animals. The final result is the reduction in the number of wild animals, right? Point number 3. Hunting the animals to obtain hair, skin bones, horns or nails is also responsible. ઘણા લોકો તો બિઝનેસ કરે, right? Nails, teeth, right? Skin of the tiger, all these things are being, now used as a source of business. હજારો અને લાખો રૂપિયામાં બધી વસ્તુ વેચાય. એવા રોજના કેટલા tigers, elephants, lions and other animals and birds might be killed by these hunters just for their money, right? So this is again one of the reasons for destruction of wildlife. Next, the over exploitation of forest made by man for his greedy motives such as roads, multi-purpose projects, mining minerals, expansion of new settlements or cities, etc. displaces the wild animals, right? So હું ઘણી વાર જે કહું છું ને, ફોરેસ્ટમાંથી હાઈવે બને, કોઈ પ્રોજેક્ટ સ્ટાર્ટ થતો હોય, કોઈ ન્યૂ એરિયા ડેવલપ કરવાનો હોય એ જગ્યાએ, રાઈટ? હવે એકચ્યુઅલી એ ફોરેસ્ટ છે where there are thousands of wild animals, that is their home and where they live, right? Now humans for their greedy purpose, પોતાના સ્વાર્થ માટે એ જગ્યાએથી હાઈવે ઊભો કરશે, કોઈ હોસ્પિટલ ઊભું કરશે, કોઈ પ્રોજેક્ટ્સ ઊભા કરશે, રાઈટ? કોઈ ચેક ડેમ્સ ઊભા કરશે, કોઈ રિવર્સ અથવા કેનાલ્સ ક્રિએટ કરશે, and many more things humans can do for their greedy and selfish motive. આપણે એમનું વિચારતા નથી, right? This is what it is. So this is again a reason for the wildlife extinction, right? Next, 3 points, then we are going to stop. Forest lands are being encroached for grass, fuel or for grazing, right? The forest fire engulfs many species. When the forest fire occurs at that time of rearing the young ones of the birds or hatching the eggs, it creates a negative impact on the number of wild animals. ઘણી વાર ફોરેસ્ટમાં આગ લાગતી હોય છે, right? This is again one of the reasons for the extinction of wildlife, right? Which has a negative impact on the animals or even on the birds. Next, due to the loss of their natural habitats, many animals without any abode come into conflict with man and sometimes even lost their lives, right? So જે વસ્તુ કહું છું એ જ વસ્તુ અહીં આપેલી છે. એ એરિયા કટ થઈ જાય, ડિફોરેસ્ટ્રેશન થઈ જાય, એટલે એનિમલ્સ એ જગ્યાએથી બીજી જગ્યાએ જતા. And when they transfer themselves from one place to the other place, that might be close to a village or that might be close to a highway, and they will go in search of their food, and they clash with the human, interact થાય human જોડે, અને માણસ પાસે હથિયાર હોય અને એ પછી એનિમલને મારી નાખે for their own self defense, right? So even they lose their life in this way also. Many animals, ઘણા wild animals આવી રીતે રોજના મરતા હશે, right? કારણ કે એમનું જે ઓરિજિનલ એ બોડી છે, that means where their original house is, એ તો હવે ડિફોરેસ્ટ્રેશન થઈ ગયું, એટલે એ જગ્યા તો જતી રહી, એટલે કોઈ બીજી જગ્યાએ જશે, which might be close to a village or a city or a town or an urban area. હવે એ જગ્યાએ કોઈ પહોંચી ગયું wild animal, તો એક સાથે હજારો માણસ હોય, different weapons લઈને ઊભા, so obviously that animal is going to be finished, right? So this is what it is. એવા રોજના ઘણા બધા કેસીસ થતા હશે, which might we even don't know, right? That is why wildlife is again on extinction, one of the main reasons, right? Next, and the last point, hunting to procure biomedicine or things which can make perfume also brings the species on the verge of extinction, right? This is again in business, right? Biomedicines, ઘણા animals માંથી medicines બનતી હોય, ઘણા animals માંથી perfumes બનતા હોય, right? Also brings species on the verge of extinction, right? Medicine બનાવવા માટે animals ઉપર experiment કરવામાં આવે, અંતે animal તો મરી જાય, પછી એમાંથી જે antibodies અથવા જે મળતું હોય as a part of medicine એ લઈ લેવામાં આવે, but the animal has to sacrifice his life, right? Some animals are there, એમાંથી perfumes બનતા હોય, right? Perfume બનાવવા માટે animalને મારવું પડે, so again it is an extinction, right? So there are many points through which the wildlife is on the verge of extinction, right? We are stopping the video over here, right? If you have any questions, any doubts, you can ask.